Hello everybody and welcome to our today's web seminar from Volmer. Our new format to get in contact with you online on a regular basis to inform you all about Volmer, our products and services, and of course about our innovations. I'm your host, Thomas Benzing, and I will guide you today through this web seminar. You are interested in the newest technology in the area of grinding circular saws? Then this web seminar will be just perfect for you. Because today we put our spotlight on our top-end phase grinding machine for circular saws, our CHX840 and CHX840. In this web seminar, you will get many informations about the machine, and we will show you many pictures directly from the machine. Therefore, it definitely pays off to stay tuned. As in our last web seminars already, we welcome you directly from our technology and training center in our head office in Biberach, Germany. Because in here we are having our machine for our online session. Today, the CHX840. Before we are starting with our today's topic and introducing to you our agenda, I would briefly like to discuss the rules of this web seminar. Both camera and microphone from each audience is switched off from the beginning, and in order to enable a smooth flow, we will keep them switched off. In case that any questions are coming up during the web seminar, please feel free to ask. You can find a question or chat field, most probably on the right side of your screen. Please use one of these fields to send us your question, and we will answer all questions after the web seminar in written form to the whole group of participants. If you have any question after this web seminar, you can of course also contact us at web-seminar@volmer-group.com. And we kindly ask you to close all browser activities that are not necessary for this web seminar in order to ensure a smooth transmission. And as always, the short note on our LinkedIn channel, where all our web seminars gets announced, and we are providing links for the registration. In addition, you can find further information about our web seminar from the past and also dates for the future on our website volmer-group.com. Just go on service and then on training and web seminars. Okay, but now back to our topic for today and to our agenda. First, we will classify the machine CHX to the whole Volmer machine portfolio for top and phase grinders for circular saws. Then we will have a deeper look into the different variations of the machine configuration and options of the CHX machine. Afterwards, one of our application engineers will join and explain us how to work with the CHX machine with the different types of saws, both from the wood and aluminium processing industry, but also from the metalworking industry. And he will come with many pictures from the inside of the machine. As we don't want to lose any time, we are starting directly with the first point on our agenda, the classification of the CHX machine in the Volmer portfolio for top and face grinder. Some of you already know our portfolio for grinding top and face of circular saws, and therefore we briefly want to classify this new machine to our spectrum of machines with different technology level. In the field of circular saw machines, we are offering several stages of technology. On the one hand, there are the 4-axis machines, then there is the CHX840 with 5 CNC controlled axes, and our high-end products with 8 or even 9 CNC controlled axes. For the 4-axis and 8-axis grinding machines and also for the 9-axis grinding machines, we are offering both grinding machines for top and face grinding, but also side grinding machines. In general, the machines in the different technologies level, especially at the level of 4-axis machines, are built on each other, and of course, the higher the technology level of the machine, the more functionalities became available. We are starting with the 4-axis machine, the CP650. This machine is capable to grind circular saws up to an outside diameter of 650 millimeter. Next machine in our portfolio is the CHX840 for processing wood and aluminium saws with a maximum outside diameter up to 840 millimeter. This machine is able to grind, for example, the geometry hollow face, which is very typical for the wood cutting industry. Based on the CHC840, the machine CHP840 follows. Like the CHC840, this is also a manual machine for circular saws grinding up to 840 millimeter. But in addition to the wood and aluminium saws, this machine type can also be used to grind metal saws. For example, chip breaker or teeth with high negative phase angle. On the next stage of technology, we are coming to our CHX series. Similar to the CHP, this type of machine can be used for wood and aluminium saws, but also for metal saws. The big difference of the CHX840 compared to the CHP840 is that the CHX machine has another CNC controlled axis, namely the A-axis. This allows the CHX machine to grind the face and top of a circular saw in one setup. Another special feature of the machine series is that the customer can choose the stage of automation of this machine. Because based on the basic machine, the CHX840 can also be equipped with an automatic setup and, if desired, additional with a loading system for an unmanned operation. However, we will go into the different machine versions of the CHX840 in more detail later. On the upper stage of technology, we are offering our CHD270 with 8 CNC controlled axes. Now, this machine can be connected to a ND loader and can of course be used for processed wood and aluminium as well as metal saws. And last but not least, we are coming to the machine types CM200 and CM300. Those machines having 9 CNC controlled axes and are special machines for metal saw grinding. And with the machine type CM300, saws up to an outside diameter of 1440 millimeters can be grinded. For the sake of completeness, it should be noted that the machine types CHC and CHP as well as CHX840 are available also in a 3000 version. Therefore, to process circular saws up to an outside diameter of 3000 millimeter. But now back to our spotlight machine, the CHX840 and CHX3000, and the different machine variations. When we are talking about the CHX machine, it is important to distinguish between the different machine versions. Because a very important aspect and great advantage of the machine is that you can choose the level of machine automation and configure the machine that it fits perfectly to your personal requirements. Let us take a brief look at these different variations. We are starting with the basic machine. In general, the basic machine CHX840 is quite similar to the machine CHC and CHP840. But the big difference from the CHX machine compared to the machine CHC and CHP is the additional CNC controlled A-axis, which enables to grind both top and face in only one setup. This means there's no changeovers of the grinding wheels necessary anymore, because the CHX840 come already in the basic machine with the from Volmer developed and patented double grinding wheel package and an automatic A-axis. With the basic CHX840, it is necessary only to reference the saw, means to set the 0 point on the tooth of the saw manually. The saw carrier in the manual basic machine is identical to those of the machines CHC and CHP. It consists of a magnetic saw carrier and a centering sleeve according to the bore diameter of the saw. Based on the CHX840 as the basic machine, so the manual version as shown previously, next machine version is the CHX840 as an automatic machine. This machine version includes an automatic setup which significantly reduces the setup time for each circular saw. This option of the automatic setup consists of an automatic access for sliding in of the saw, an automatic diameter recognition, and an acoustic sensor for automatic sensing. We are now coming to the machine version with the highest possible automation in the CHX family. This machine version includes the automatic setup as just introduced, combined with the loading system, our HS loader. This machine version enables an unmanned operation. The loading system consists of two stacks, one for the unprocessed source and the other for the finished source. The HS loader has a capacity of roughly 25 saws, depending on the saw thickness, of course. Means the CHX840 with loader HS is capable to run roughly 7 hours unmanned, for example, for a night shift. For programming and preparing of the saw stack, this can be done while the machine is running in order to save time. With this loading system, saws from 140 mm to 530 mm outside diameter can be processed. Okay, and now, last but not least, one more variation of the CHX family, the 3000 version. Like with the machine type CHC and CHP, the CHX family also comes with a 3000 version to treat saws up to an outside diameter of 3000 mm. This machine version also comes with the automatic setup and also consists of an automatic access for sliding in of saws, an automatic diameter recognition, and an acoustic sensor for automatic sensing. And this for circular saws with an outside diameter from 140 to 3000 millimeter. So, as you can see, the CHX family can be configured very flexible according to your personal requirements. Whether as a basic machine with automatic A-axis or with the automatic setup unit or with its own loading system for unmanned operating, and don't forget the 3000 version for bigger saw blades. And independent on which kind of machine or level of automation you decide to go, the CHX will save your setup time significantly thanks to the automatic A-axis. Okay, I think we had enough from the theoretical part of the machine. For our next step, I would like to introduce a colleague of mine, Th.J. Th.J. is one of our application engineers of the CHX machine, and he is supporting us today in this web seminar with his experience and his knowledge, and he brought some pictures directly from the machine. Th.J., thank you for joining and supporting us in this web seminar. I suggest that we are starting with the operating and machining concept of the CHX840. Th.J., please introduce it to us.
For those of you who already know Volmer machine, the operating concept will be quite familiar. Let's start with the operating panel. We are having here a modern operating concept with a new multifunction hand wheel, which can be used on the one hand to select and move axes, which can also be used a potentiometer in order to be able to carry out speed adjustments in automatic mode. Furthermore, we are having the well-known Volmer symbols for the programming, and above those symbols there is a 10-inch LCD color display with a Windows-based interface. And above the display there is an USB connection to transfer data to the machine. The machine concept consists of 5 CNC controlled axes. During the development process, we focused on optimize the axis movements in the machine in order to minimize grinding and non-productive time in the machine. For example, the basic machine already includes the oscillation grinding process, which ensures a high removal rate in just one cycle. But also in terms of the machine maintenance, this machine brings important advantages. Like for example, the whole machine is free of hydraulic, which makes it a low maintenance machine. In addition, already the basic machine comes with a central lubrication, which also reduces the maintenance effort.
For those audience who are not familiar with the Volmer machines here, another note which is important to know. The basic CHX machine already comes with an internal storage capacity for several thousand programs. And in addition to that, through the possibility of adding an USB stick to the machine or to connect the machine to your house network, this capacity can be extended without any limits. Means in case that you're having a large number of different kind of saws with different geometries, you only need to create a program once per saw and can use it afterwards again and again. This will reduce your programming time to a minimum. And there's one more note I would like to mention before we continue, which is saving and recording of machine data and production data. Because with the network connection of the CHX machine, this data can be easily recorded, saved, exported and processed or analyzed from you further. Chetin, in our introduction we already had a brief look into the different machine variations of the CHX family. Please show us now the basic CHX840 with some pictures directly from the machine.
The basic CHX840 looks quite similar to the two machine types CHC and CHP840, which are well known on the market. We are having the same clamping plate for manual operating in the machine, where bolts for the saw carrier gets grooved in. Also, the saw carrier are the same as those from the CHC and CHP840. Means we are having a magnet saw carrier with a centering sleeve according to the saw hole to clamp a saw and put in the bolt on the clamping plate in the machine. Let's take a brief look into the manual setup process of the basic CHX840. We are sliding manually the saw and the saw carrier to the grinding wheels. Next step is to bring the grinding wheels slowly to the tooth of the saw to set the 0 point of the tooth. Means to set the point where the grinding wheel is touching the tooth. We recognize this with a noise. So far this process is identical to the setup process of the machine CHC and CHP840. But as the CHX840 is equipped with a double grinding wheel, we are referencing both the 0 points for face grinding and for the top grinding in one step. With the other machines, CHC, CHP, this is done in 2 separate steps. And this is great advantage of the CHX machines compared to the manual machines, because we can grind top and face in one single setup and are saving a lot of time.
Thank you, Chetin. As we can see, also in the basic machine of the CHX840, we are already having a certain level of automation included through its automatic axis. Chetin, please show us now the CHX840 with the automatic setup process.
Sure. With this machine version, we will see clear differences to the manual CHX840 as just introduced, because the setup process can be made fully automatic. For example, the automatic sliding axis, which is sliding the saw to the grinding wheels. Also, the saw carrier system differs from the manual basics machine. Let's focus on the setup process. This process can be made with this machine version fully automatic. The operator just needs to put the saw on the saw carrier system, and the machine is doing the setup process itself. In the first step, The sliding axis brings the saw to the saw stopper in the machine. With this, the machine can recognize the outside diameter of the saw. In the next step, the saw gets clamped and the reference process starts. Unlike the manual version, this is also done automatically by an acoustic sensor in the machine. This sensor detects the acoustic sound as soon as the grinding wheel touches the tooth of the saw and reference the 0 point. And with this step, the automatic setup process is already done and the machine is ready to go.
Thanks, Chetin. As you could see, this is already a big step in terms of machine automation compared to the basic CHX840. However, we still can go better with our third machine version, the CHX840, with automatic setup and our loading system, the HS. Chetin, please introduce this to us as well.
Sure, in this machine version, the setup process is the same as in the automatic CHX840 that we just have introduced. Means the saw sliding axis, the saw stopper and the acoustic sensor for referencing is included in this version as well. But additional to that, this version is equipped with the loader HS. The loader consists of 2 stacks for loading the saws. One stack is for the untreated saws and the other stack for the treated saws after they got grinded. Each stack manual has a capacity of roughly 25 saws. Of course, the capacity of depending on the thickness of the saw blade. With this loading system, circular saw with an outside diameter of 140 to 530 mm can be processed without any problems. The saws get grabbed from the gripper and brought on the long R-axis to the saw carrier system in the CHX840. Here the step process starts, as explained earlier. After the grinding process is complete, the gripper takes the saw and brings it back to the stack for the treated saws, and the gripper takes the next saw afterwards.
Thank you, Chetin. So you could see that an unmanned operation is possible with the CHX840 version. At this point, I would like to emphasize that the loader HS is available for the CHX840 only and not for the version CHX3000 or any other Volmer machine. Chetin, after we had a deeper look into the different machine versions with the different stages of technology, I would like to go through the different application fields for the CHX family. For this, we will leave out the standard saws, as they can be grinded with all versions of the CHX without any problem. So we will focus more on the industry-specific saws. Let's start with the woodworking industry. In the woodworking industry, there are often used saws like saws with a hollow face, saws with a hoop ring, segment saws, saws with wreckers. or saws with group toothing like G5, G6 or G7. J.T., what are the challenges with this kind of saws?
The challenges for a grinding machine for this kind of saws are always depending on the kind of saw you are grinding. For example, a saw with a hoop ring requires wide opening blade clamping, or segment saws require feed power system with pneumatic operation. All those challenges has been taken into account in the developing of the CHX machine and are therefore no problem for this machine. For example, the wide opening blade clamping is already included in the basic machine.
And what's about saws with big tooth pitches or whackers?
Also, this kind of saws is no problem for the CHX machines. Tooth pitch up to 100 mm can be treated with the standard equipment of the machine. For tooth pitches higher than 100 mm, we are offering an additional feed power. This enables to treat saws with a tooth pitch until 180 mm. The additional feed power can be fixed very easily with those screws in the feed carrier. The diameter of the circular saw can be easily adjusted on the scale and additional feed power. For saws with rakers, we just have to exchange the clamping plates to plastic clamping plates to protect the raker during the grinding process. Furthermore, the position of the raker is important because depending on this, the clamping plates have to be repositioned that they are not clamping on the rakers.
Another geometry for the woodworking industry is the hollow face. J.T., please show us how to grind the hollow face geometry with the CHX with our optional hollow face grinding unit.
For this grinding process, we require this hollow face grinding unit with a corresponding diamond pinwheel. The speed of the hollow face grinding unit can be adjusted between 35 and 50,000 RPM. To install the hollow face grinding unit, you simply remove the grinding wheel and the grinding wheel guard and replace it with the hollow face grinding unit. Afterwards, you just have to connect the compressed air, electricity and the coolant supply, and the conversation is done. For this application, I just want to note that we are working with the manual clamping plate. Reason for this is that we have to adjust the blade thickness according to the circular saw so that the saw blade in the hollow face tooth is also the center of the tooth. Working with the automatic clamping plate would be possible only when the blade thickness is exactly 2 millimeters. That's all you need to know and the grinding process can be started.
Another saw geometry which is very common in the woodworking industry is group toothing, such as G5, G6 or G7. J.T., how is the machining situation with this kind of saws?
Also, these of groups can be grinded with the CHX machine without any problems. When we are talking about G5, therefore a group of straight left-right teeth, these can be made with the standard program 119 and 319. It means this kind of saw can also be made in automatic mode. For groups like G6 or G7, we are offering our multi-surface program, where groups and geometries can be programmed very flexible. If those saws get pre-positioned in the loader HS, this could also be made in the automatic production mode. To pre-position these in the loader HS, there is an integrated laser line included. With this laser line, the saw can be pre-positioned to the first tooth to get grinded in the automatic mode.
Okay, so to sum this up, the CHX family is well prepared for the special saws which are used in the woodworking industry. All right, let's go on with the same, just for the saws from the metal industry. Typical for this industry are, for instance, saws with negative face angle, chip breaker saws or oddly tooth, or saws with a chip guide notch. Let's start with the saws with a negative face angle. J.T., how can this kind of sauce be grinded with the CHX machine?
Well, this kind of saw is pretty much a standard saw which can be grinded on the CHX machine very easy. Only a software for metal saws required. With this special software, negative phase angles up to minus 30 degrees can be grinded.
Okay, and how is it with saws with a chip breaker or oddly tooth on top? How can this kind of saws be grinded with a CHX machine?
Also, those saws can be grinded with this machine. To do so, the CHX requires the software for metal saws, which also necessary for the saws with negative phase angle is needed. Then the optional spindle sleeve adjustment. And in case that the tooth pitch is below 20 mm or you want to grind the earthly geometry, a special grinding aggregate is needed. For saw with a tooth pitch of 20 mm or higher, this aggregate is not necessary, but a corresponding grinding wheel. Let's have a look on the installation of the grinding aggregate for saw with tooth pitch below 20 mm or the earthly geometry. For this, we will remove the grinding wheel in the grinding wheel grad. In this position, we are mounting the grinding aggregate. Afterwards, we only have to adjust the spindle sleeve and then we can start with the grinding process. With this grinding aggregate, grinding wheels within a diameter range from 26 mm to 50 mm can be clamped. Also called earthly geometries, therefore V-grooves on the top of the teeth can be grinded with this grinding aggregate and the corresponding grinding wheel as well. Those two applications are grinded both in the manual mode.
All right, so let's go on with our next circular saw for the metal industry. A saw with a chip guide notch. Chetin, please show us how to grind this saw geometry on a CHX machine.
To grind the geometry of a chip guide notch on a CHX machine, the only thing that is required is a special software for this application. The grinding process itself is quite easy, as we don't have to converse the machine and this application does not require a special grinding wheel. Nevertheless, we highly recommend to dress the grinding wheel before you are starting with the grinding process.
So you could see with those examples of different applications from the industry, woodworking and metal, the CHX machine can be used very flexible and can be used for both industries. Of course, this has only been some examples of saws that can be grinded with the CHX machine, and more saws that have not been mentioned in this web seminar can be grinded for sure. Important to emphasize is that you can create your CHX machine according to your requirements, whether you're grinding saws from the woodworking or metal industry or maybe both, independent on the level of automation. This machine will serve you very well. But we are not done yet, because there are some more specific applications possible with the CHX machine, which are independent of the woodworking or metal industry. And we want to show you these applications as well. One of these applications is relief grinding. The big advantage of the CHX machine for this application is that this process can be handled automatically. For this, we have created a specific program. Chetin, please show us how to do relief grinding on a CHX machine.
For relief grinding, we require in general two things. On the one hand side, the software for relief grinding, on the other side, a CBN grinding wheel for steel grinding. With this, you are ready to do relief grinding on the CHX.
Another special application on the CHX machine is pocket seat grinding. This grinding process is necessary in the production of saws or for the retipping of carbide teeth on circular saws. J.T., please show us how this can be made and what is necessary for this.
Well, to be able to grind the pocket seat with CHX, there are 3 requirements. First condition is that the CHX is equipped with the automatic setup. The second condition is a specific software program on the machine. And last but not least is a CBN grinding wheel. If all 3 conditions are given, you are ready to grind pocket seat. Let's take a look at the grinding process. First, we are mounting the CBN grinding wheel on the machining head. Afterwards, the machine starts first with the automatic setup, then later with the grinding process, and that it's about the pocket seat grinding in the CHX.
J.T., many thanks to you for showing us the machine CHX with its different application fields and your support in this web seminar. So as you could see, the CHX machine can be used very flexible and independent on which stage of automation you want to go with, whether with or without the automatic setup, or with or without the loader HS, or even as a 3000 version. The CHX machines are coming with many advantages and are convincing with its Volmer technology of the double grinding wheels for grinding top and face in one setup. And all this independent on the industry field, whether for the woodworking or metal industry. And don't forget all the other standard saws which we could not discuss during this web seminar, or the mentioned special application fields of the CHX family. This machine has an answer to almost every kind of circular saw. And with this, we are already at the end of our web seminar for today. I hope we could give you some impressions about our CHX machine in all the different variations. In case that any further questions are coming up about this machine, please feel free to get in contact with your respective salesperson. For any questions about the web seminar, you can write us an email to web-seminar@volmer-group.com. All questions that has been asked during the web seminar will be answered in a written form to the whole group of participants after this web seminar. As already announced in the beginning, here once again a note to our website where you can find further information about the web seminar from the past, and of course you can find there also information about the web seminars in the future, and of course there's information about our machine portfolio. And please check out our LinkedIn channel where we are promoting all web seminars and other interesting stuff. So it pays off to follow us on LinkedIn. Thank you for your attention, and we hope you will tune in again for the next web seminar. Until then, we wish you all the best and say goodbye from the Volmer Technology and Training Center.